Dating apps in 2024 for men. Worth it?
Get some really good posed photos and do like 1 or 2 of them.
What are some pointers that you give to guys to pose?
In number 1 was looking off camera with a neutral expression. Being more comfortable and confident and relaxed with your body language will kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
How many photos do you recommend? Like,
dating is also about emotions and inner confidence and true centeredness.
so what's your favorite app?
Are you really fit and lean and have like really good grooming, or maybe there's some of that lacking, right? Or
Do you use any of the AI gen for photos?
dating apps are getting more and more competitive.
What do you think that next thing is going to be? More in-person meetups? The profiles where they're overly posed.
Yeah.
Do you think that's because they're thinking about it too much, or what do you mean by too posed?
It's a really, really, really good example, and I love it so much.
I mean, is status a goal?
I can get a 5 out of 10 guy looking and getting matches.
What kind of prep do you do for guys?
Ask somebody to take a photo of you, and then instead of posing, you just talk to them.
Ripped jeans, yes or no?
If you're doing something that a girl can see herself doing with you, that's enough.
And you pay for them? Bio, messaging, prompts, things like that. This is a fucking absolute fucking classic.
Yeah, it was good.
There's a
It got a lot of the dynamics right too, which is really cool. It wasn't like super stupid where like the sad, lonely boy gets the girl because yay.
yeah, exactly.
It was like when he was needy, he didn't get the girl, and then when he was confident, he did. And it's like that's kind of how life works most of the time.
Yeah, there's a scene in there, I think it's Swingers, where they're in Seattle outside of an apartment complex. I think it's, maybe it's not Swingers. Was Matt Dillon in Swingers? You know who Matt Dillon
I don't
is?
know who Matt Dillon is.
My buddy lived in an apartment that is in Seattle that,
Oh yeah, you're from Seattle.
I'm from the east side of the state, but I got a lot of friends in Seattle, so I'm in
okay.
Seattle all the time, so
Yeah.
same thing. But he lived in the apartment where, like, fucking Eddie Vedder lived from Pearl Jam.
Nice.
And there's a movie filmed there.
Okay.
I thought it was Swingers, but I don't think it was, now that I think about it.
That's cool though. Did people come by and were like, that's the thing, that's the place?
A few times. He took me through Eddie Vedder's apartment one
Nice.
time, because it was for rent, so it was just open. And we
Yeah.
went through there. It was pretty cool.
That's cool.
It was pretty fucking cool.
That's cool.
It's kind of it's like a...
I don't know who he is, but like that experience sounds cool. Like, oh, that was in that movie. That was where that happened.
Yeah. He was, like, sitting on, like, a steps, like, outside this apartment. It was pretty fucking cool.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was dope.
That's one of my things on my Instagram videos. Like, don't sit on just fucking stairs and take cool photos. And then like I get a really good stair photo, and I'm being a lot more nuanced about that because well, here's the thing: you can't say everything you want to say in a minute on Instagram. So you have to dumb down the nuance to make it completely no nuance, or you can't keep it under a minute, right? So. What I have said, I just kind of skirt over that fact, is get some really good posed photos and do like 1 or 2 of them. But the rest of your profile needs to have some more substance than just like, I look cool. But 1 or 2 is good. Just
You're saying 1 or 2 like
model style
candid
photos.
Oh, 1 or 2 model style.
Posed, solid model style photos are fine and good and probably beneficial. But the rest of the photos need to actually say something about you. They have to be more candid and you doing something. I've been more nuanced about that when I have more time, but like in the videos, I usually, because the issue that most guys have is they put all their photos look posed, or all their photos are shitty, or both. But if you have a lot of guys have too many posed photos, so I'll err on the side of ignoring the nuance and saying no posed photos because I have a minute to speak. But the reality is a couple of solid model quality photos where you have the right sub-communications and you look sexy, you have great fashion, that's good. Sit on some fucking stairs, but do it once, not 5 photos.
Yeah. So the profiles where they're overly posed.
Yeah.
Do you think that's because they're thinking about it too much, or what do you mean by too posed? Like,
So a lot of my advice doesn't just come from theory. It comes from, I've heard this from a lot of girls, and also you have to understand, you understand this, and the people watching this will understand this very shortly. What girls say and what girls do are not always the same thing. Because a lot of the time, a girl will say, "Oh my God, like I wouldn't swipe right on this guy who has these sexy abs in a shirtless photo. He's a douche." But then when you're not looking, they're gonna swipe right because they don't want to feel like they're being superficial. That's a big thing for women. It's kind of like men we don't want to feel like we're weak. We'll say things to make us make other guys and girls think that we're not weak, but we might not agree with them. So like for instance, "Oh, I didn't cry at that movie." Yeah, you did. Like,
Yeah,
for women, it's superficial. They don't want to seem superficial. And so they'll say, "Oh yeah, I wouldn't swipe right on that," but they would.
Stated, I think Chris Williamson calls it stated versus revealed preferences.
Yeah.
Like what I say I'm going to do and then what I actually do kind of thing.
Yeah. 'Cause, I mean, it's just different. It's different things for different genders. For guys, it's weakness. For girls, it's superficiality and, maybe being overly sexual or being a slut. I don't like that word because, unless in the right context, but...
Yeah.
I generally don't like that word because it's, I don't want girls to feel self-conscious about having sex. I want them to want to have it and feel comfortable talking about it around me. So, but, that's girls' version of not showing weakness. They don't show their sexual side often in Western society, and they also don't want to show their superficiality.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. So, okay, so line up the perfect set of photos. So you said 2 almost model pose pro photos. How many photos do you recommend? Like, what's the number?
So it also so it's going to change slightly. I can give you a generic. Here's what's great for most guys, but it might change depending on, are you really fit and lean and have like really good grooming, or maybe there's some of that lacking, right? Or what kind of lifestyle do you have? Are you rich? Do you actually go on private jets, or are you somebody who has a 9 to 5 and is going to college or something, right? That's going to change the kind of photos that will show you at your best. One of my core philosophies is play for dates, not for matches. Because this is one thing I've seen other professional dating profile photographers do. They take a photo of every single one of their clients in front of a private jet when very few of them actually fly private. So it's like you go and you take a photo in front of a private jet and then you match with a bunch of girls, but they go on the date and they're like, "Yeah, so you're like a manager at Walmart. What is that? What's going on with that photo? When was that taken?" And then they'll be like, "Oh shit, he's a fraud." And if she just wants to have sex and you're good at fucking, it's like, okay, she'll keep seeing you, but like she won't trust you anymore at all. And that's the best case scenario. Usually she'll just go running for the hills, or she'll be so broken that she doesn't care that you're a complete fraud. But generally, and even for casual things, girls don't want that much of a lie. Maybe stretching the truth a little bit, but like, forget about the morals. Like, I definitely have my own moral system about lying or not lying, but like, forget about the morals. Just from a practical perspective, you're shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah, she finds out the jet's fake, the car's rented,
Yeah.
the Bitcoin account's not real, like all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And you just have like a banana in your pants. It's not really a real bulge or whatever.
Yeah. So how do you portray status? I mean, is status a goal? I mean, do you like to portray that in any way? I'm like, even if you're let's just say the reality is you are a low status guy. Mm-hmm. I think women like status. Like, do you portray that in a way?
It's a goal. It's a goal. It's not the only goal. It's a goal. And if you don't have anything going for you, first of all, you're here's like how I like to say it. For most guys, their photos are their bottleneck. Mm-hmm. But their second bottleneck might be something different. If you are a guy who is like a 5 out of 10, maybe, right? Most guys' photos that I look at, if they haven't worked on them, are like a 3 out of 10 at best, maybe 4 out of 10. If they just kind of, tried even on their own without any instruction or like really practice, most guys' photos are their bottleneck. If you're a 5 out of 10 guy with 4 out of 10 photos, you get 10 out of 10 photos. You're going to get matches like a 5 out of 10 guy with 10 out of 10 photos because that's what your lifestyle's like. That's what your self-improvement's like. Mm-hmm. If you're overweight, you have a 9 to 5, you don't really travel that much, and you have great photos that show you at your best, I could probably get you matches like a 6 out of 10 dude, but I can't push it that much, really. I could try my best. I could get, you know, the right subcoms. I could get like, you know, like what we're both doing with her eyes right now, you know, that's the squinch, you know, we're both photographers. We know that very well, right? That's the thing that makes you look determined and makes you look confident. And it's a really good tool, even in person, to make you seem like somebody that people want to know. Also how you dress. I get my clients to dress really good. And so that's going to increase, you know, accessories. I've been told by many women that my accessories are on point. And then my fashion's on point because I learned from my friend who taught me how to teach all my clients this. And I actually have a really good sense of fashion now and a good wardrobe. And that is something that I can get a 5 out of 10 guy looking and getting matches like a 6 out of 10 or 7 out of 10 guy, but I can't really push it more than that. You're not going to get the hottest of the hot girls on dating apps if you have 9 to 5, don't have any ambition, and aren't really going anywhere. It's just not possible. I can push you a little bit, but not much.
So you're saying the point addition, essentially, the point bump that you can provide with good pictures is like 2 to 3 points. Now is that like all across the scale, or is it like a 6 can get like 4 points, a 5 is like a 3, and then a 4 maybe 2 points? You know what I'm saying? Like
this is all getting like the point system is approximate, right? It's not like there's no objective thing here. And I know a lot of people would be like, "Oh my God, you're like objectifying." It's like, well, here's the deal. It's like there is a sexual marketplace, and whether we like to talk about it or not, the ugly truth is, if you don't have your shit together, you're not going to get girls that are valuable. You know, girls that have their shit together, you know, girls that are attractive, feminine, etc. You know, that you would be attracted to, they're going to be attracted to guys that, you know, they're going to have more options, right? And so I think it's really important to also, from an emotional perspective, be centered in who you are and not try to. That's another thing. We're going on so many tangents here. But that's another thing is like I find there's a lot in the self-improvement community for guys that want girls. There's a lot of you're not enough. You have to work on yourself, and there's very little. Hey, just love yourself and really give yourself some credit where credit's due. And I think you have to have both of those, because you can just make yourself fucking crazy working on yourself all the time and never giving yourself any credit. That's the thing that I think a lot of men need, with the exception of the men that have too much of that. Because some men who are just not improving themselves at all, you need a balance. You need both. I need to accept myself as I am and have good self-esteem and have a good opinion of myself and love myself. But also I need to be improving myself at the same time and actually putting the work in. You have to have both. And I think a lot of people just have one or the other.
You can't be self-improvement bro, but you also can't be couch potato smoking weed in your parents' basement kind of thing.
Yeah. But here's the thing. Self-improvement bro gets results. He just hates himself. So you'll get results, but you'll have a bottomless hole in your heart, because nothing will make you happy because you're never good enough. So if you want results, that's the way to go. But if you want results and be happy, you need a little bit of the other side as well.
So how do you bridge that gap between who you are and who you're presenting yourself are as on dating apps? You know, you can go, I mean, like, as you know, you can go to the moon with the pictures, like the jets, the cars, all that shit. So where do you like put the line, basically?
Our friend, I don't know if you met him, our mutual friend, Kevin Deal. Have you met him?
Oh, yeah.
So I did the first annual photography retreat, which they only had one. They're going to have a second one, and they canceled it, unfortunately. It wasn't enough interest. But a photography club that we're both part of had a retreat, and he was a speaker there. And he was talking about touch-ups for women. He was talking about touching up their acne or their scars or stuff. He was like, so it was a different context, but it applies perfectly here. And I love this quote. He said, you want to make your client look like they would on their best day. So my client might not be having their best day that day, but I want to make it look like they would on their best day. Now, if my client doesn't play guitar, am I going to take a photo of them with a guitar? No, because on their best day, they wouldn't be seen with a guitar, right? If my client's just starting to learn guitar, would I take a photo of them with a guitar? Yes, because on their best day, they would be playing guitar and they'd be good at it, right? Might not be now, it might be stretching the truth a little bit, but there is authenticity there. And it's not something like, also the question is like, I imagine if a girl swipes right and he swipes right and they go on a date and they have sex and they have a good time, and then he later tells her, oh, that was a staged photo. Is she going to get mad? If the answer is yes, that's too staged and it's too posed and it's pushing it too much. If the answer is no, like, oh, that's funny, like, yeah, I get what you're meaning. Like, it's like a laugh is fine. And that kind of thing where it's like, if he's on a stage playing a guitar and he doesn't know how to play guitar, that's way too much. If he's in front of a private jet and he's never been on a private jet before and doesn't have the financial means or any, a reason to, that's too much. But if he's practicing guitar, cool, great. If he has been on a private jet once or twice but doesn't go on them regularly, that's fine too, for, to have a private jet photo. So you can push it a little bit. It just, those two things are like, could my client on this best day be seen doing that? And also the other test is, he meets a girl, they match, they have sex a few times, they're really enjoying each other, and then he tells her the truth about he hired somebody to take that photo. Would she be mad or not? Those are the two tests I have in my mind.
Yeah. So is this something that I normally do? And this picture is just professionally done and accentuating something I already do in the best way possible versus this is just fake.
Yeah.
That makes total sense. Yeah. So what, okay, so what are some like go-to like poses or like shots that you have? Like,
so your pose, what you're doing right now is great.
Okay, explain that.
I would. I mean, you're obviously talking or mid sentence, but I'll move this kind of like the leaning in a little bit. I mean, I'm a little short for this table. I'm a little short king here, but this kind of leaning in is a really confident pose. I have, if this was a little bit lower, having a drink, like a cocktail. Actually, let me show you here. This is a really, really, really good example, and I love it so much because this guy is a little. I want to be nice here. He's a little chunky. He knows it, and we worked around it during the shoot. And he also, I would say, his body language was a little bit awkward. But we got this kick-ass fucking photo where you had, if I didn't tell you that, you would have no fucking idea at all. And it's a bunch of photos. That's one of them.
Damn.
Right? So you can't tell you can maybe tell from the fullness in his face, but he looks confident. He doesn't look awkward at all.
No, not at all.
And he doesn't look a chunky monkey. But he is awkward and he is chunky monkey and he knows it. But he's going to get girls. I guarantee you.
Yeah, that's a great pick.
So here's another one. This one's a really fucking great one with a squinch. Same idea. Right?
Yeah.
So that all comes from a couple of tricks I use. For the weight, I use a shirt that I go slight size up, a little baggy, and then I have him sitting so that the bagginess hides his physique, right? And then I also, you see how he's leaning in and he's putting his elbow on his knee, I think, in that photo, and his other arm, I think, is out. But that's a very confident pose. And then also he has a squinch going on.
Yeah.
So there are a few things that I put together, and it depends on the client. But that's a good example of making a client look a couple points higher than he normally would be if somebody just saw him in person. I do that for all my clients. It's really easy to work with somebody who's attractive and has, is confident. I fucking love that. That's like Christmas to me. I'm like, hell yeah, this is just going to be a fun fucking shoot and you're just going to get a ton of fucking matches. If a guy is like, I've had guys who have 9 out of 10 who have like 3 out of 10 photos and they get hundreds. But that's because they're a 9 out of 10 guy with 10 out of 10 photos now. 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10 guys get enough matches to get some dates. They don't get crazy life-changing results, but they'll get enough matches to get some dates and have a good dating life. So it really depends on who you are, because all I can do is I can make sure your photos are not your bottleneck anymore.
Yeah, right. I onto some like photography.
Yeah, go ahead.
Nerd stuff here.
Let's do it.
How do you light these? You have like a portable light up setup?
Yeah,
what's going
I
on?
barely. Almost all natural light. Let me see which one you're talking about. So I have a DigiPower phone-sized LED brick.
Yeah.
That you can change the brightness and you can change the color temperature. And I have it on a little mini tripod.
Nice.
That's it. That's all. Nothing else.
So, so you mentioned the outfit. So what kind of prep do you do for guys outfit wise? Like, do you give them a shopping list? Like, how do you prep them for that?
Yeah. So it depends on the package. I have 3 packages. First package, they get a PDF guide I developed with the guy who is responsible for all this. He knows what he's doing. He's given me all his advice, and I now have at least for the purposes of what he's well, I was about to say I have as much knowledge as he has. I don't. He's able to adapt his knowledge to anybody's archetype. Whatever. If you want to look like a hippie dude that looks sexy, he can do that. If you want to look like an artist, he can do that. If you want to look like he knows a lot more about fashion than I do. But I know a lot about fashion, and I can get you looking fucking sexy as hell. I can't necessarily adapt everything to every single archetype, but I can make every single one of my clients look really fucking sexy and look really fucking edgy as well in the right way. And first impressions package, I give them that PDF, which has a very specific shopping list. Next package, I give my clients text support. I give my clients text support. Tech support.
Tech support, yeah.
Text support.
Tech support for the apps.
Yeah, they can send me back and forth photos of them going to the stores, and then I help them out. And then my highest package, I literally go to the store with you. I'm like, try that on, cool. Put that back, buy that. And then it's just like,
nice.
Bam.
Nice.
So, whatever level of support that you want, I got you.
Nice. So what is so let's say you and I are texting or something. I got the text package. I'm telling you like metal band, bald bearded bad boy kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Like, what are you telling me to buy? Like, so what are some like staples?
Good. Something like this. So this, I'm gonna take this off. This is a slim fit. So you're a fit guy. So slim fit for sure, and this is a cut. You can't really see it on the side, but it's got a taper. It fits really well. It's an Express 1MX shirt. They make slim and they make extra slim, and they fit really, 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 really well.
Express is the
Express.
Brand? Okay.
Express is my favorite brand for button-up shirts. So you want to go for darker colors. You need black jeans. Express is also great for those. Slim fit black. Slim straight Express jeans. They have skinny, they have athletic, they have slim straight, they have straight, and they have relaxed. You want slim straight. That is timeless, that is evergreen. Sometimes skinny's in style, sometimes baggy's in style, but slim straight is always in style, no matter what. That's middle of the road. And that is black. That's what you want. You also want black wash jeans, just to switch things up, and maybe a dark blue. But black jeans, dark clothes, a few of these, some more abstract, maybe florals, kind of like that one. You also want bracelets, you want chains, you want rings, match the metal. Generally silver is safe for everybody. For guys that are darker skinned, Indian guys, I work with a lot of them, black guys, gold is great. But the issue with gold is it's really hard to get a high quality fake. So you either get the real thing or you find a good high quality fake, but it's generally easy to spot when something's not real gold. So just go for silver.
Ripped jeans, yes or no?
It can be good. Ripped with the right outfit's great. Distressed just looks weird. Like if it's just kind of like, it looks like and I don't like distressed jeans, but ripped jeans can be great.
Distressed, like the overly washed ones, or what do you?
No, well, that's a wash. Black washes or like acid wash. Or faded. That's fine. But it's like when they take like a wire brush in the factory and just like scuff it up a little bit,
like half rip kind of
thing.
It's
like if there's not a tear, like what's the point?
Yeah.
It's a specific vibe. It's much more like you can't wear ripped jeans. Like I can't wear ripped jeans with this. Like it's classy and like super casual. It doesn't make any sense. Inconsistent. Yeah, you're putting out a couple different vibes. Like even the shoes that I came in here with, doesn't make any sense with his outfit. Although there's a nuance there, but generally it doesn't make sense with the outfit. I came in with that because it was comfortable. I didn't want to wear my nice shoes because they're uncomfortable and they're not going to be seen on video. So it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, exactly.
But
so how do guys find their archetype? Like if a guy comes to you and his archetype that he wants is clearly off, like can you work with him on that, or how do guys figure that out?
I can, but I tend to, like an archetype is also something you grow into. Like I didn't fucking feel like this my whole life, but I do now. I wear this and I feel at home. I wear these and I feel at home. First time I wore a chain and rings, I was like, this feels fucking weird. But now I don't really feel home with. I literally, like, I'm just going to H-E-B to pick up something. I'm like, let me get all dolled up. Like, I fucking love it. I love, I feel weird when I leave my rings at home.
Yeah.
Like when I go to the gym, if I know I'm just going to the gym going home, I'll leave my rings at home because I'm not going to.
You feel weird dressing like you used to, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I don't correct guys. As long as they're committing to the archetype, it's like, great. If whatever archetype you want, you'll become it. So
Nice.
yeah.
Nice. Show us some more photos. Pick a favorite in here.
Yeah.
Explain it.
I'm going to pick a favorite of some other dude. Love this guy. This guy was fun to work with. Oh, this one. This one was my first overseas shoot in London. Well, my second overseas shoot. My first overseas shoot was in Cardiff.
Cardiff. Ooh, that sounds like fun.
Wales. Yeah, that was fun. I did not get to see Doctor Who. This one it's a confident one, but it's more of a candid one. This guy got crazy matches, which I'm really, really happy about because he was also a bit of a chunky monkey. But he's a fucking great guy. I don't mean that in any necessarily bad sense. It's just that looks tend to matter a lot on dating apps, and so I love when I have a client that is maybe not maximized in that area, but I get them great results, and I'm like, yes, it makes me feel so good about my work. So this guy.
Damn, this guy looks fit in this picture. Like,
Yeah.
he's got the triceps popping, he's got the bicep popping, like,
So he's the kind
good
of
shoes. Yeah, that looks
he
good.
is fit. He's the kind of fit that he has a lot of muscle and a lot of fat. So he's not overweight in like he's fat. He's got a lot of muscle, a lot of fat on top of it. But some girls like that physique. So that's not necessarily a bad thing. This was in the middle of London next to Liverpool Street Station, actually right near where I was staying. And that photo in particular is not, it's not necessarily, like, it's not the thing he's doing that is exciting about that photo. It's the pose, it's the subcommunications. And then I also have a philosophy, which I kind of made up, which I don't know if it really means anything, but it makes sense in my mind, where women, if you're doing something that a girl can see herself doing with you, that's enough. He's literally just eating a kebab, a doner kebab, or no, I think that was
It's like a burger or something.
that
A
was,
sandwich.
It was
I
a
don't know.
doner kebab because that's like huge over there. I remember it tasted very good because I had one myself. He was eating a doner kebab. He's like literally eating a doner kebab sitting on like the side of a like one of those things with the plants in it. Very tasty. But like that's a thing that like a girl could be next, if a girl's looking at that, she'd be like, oh, I could be next to him doing that, right?
Or I'd like to be seen with this guy doing this thing in this place, kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. And so one thing I really want to say, so he had an interesting problem, which was the opposite of what the Cardiff guy had. He had a very hard time squinting his eyes slightly. His eyes are always very wide open. And in thinking that one, they're also a little bit wide open. But we are still able to get him to look kind of confident. And there's also one other thing for that. He's looking off the camera. He's not looking at the camera. He's looking off camera, and he has a neutral expression. Now, this is an important thing because there's OkCupid used to be a great dating app.
Used to be.
Used to be. And they were very data focused. They used to be very data focused. And they would actually put out blog posts being like, on our platform, these are some trends we're seeing.
Dataclysm was written about OkCupid.
There you go.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Great book, by the way. But
I think I need to read that book. I need to
it's
find
excellent.
it. I fucking love reading everything on Kindle. I got to find that shit.
Yeah.
So they would analyze all the data on their platform, and they would be like, hey guys, if you want to get girls, or they wouldn't even really like use it as advice. They just like, here's an interesting trend we found. And they did a few articles on whether, what kind of cameras, what kind of, professional, non-professional, which I can talk about that if you want. They had a study on that. They also did a study on guys versus girls. And then also there are several variables, guys versus girls. How many, I think they were able to see, based just analyzing the chat, how many numbers were exchanged. They said how many dates, but I don't know how they would figure that out. So at least they were able to figure out whether numbers were exchanged or not. And then they also did what facial expression did they have and when they were looking at the camera or not. So for guys that were looking for girls, the absolute worst combination was looking off camera with a flirty expression, which makes sense. Like you're not looking at me and you're looking at a flirty expression. You're flirting at somebody else. It's kind of a weird feeling for a girl swiping on that. The third best was, well, I don't remember. The second and third were very close. Second and third were very close. They were looking at the camera with a smile and looking at the camera with a flirty expression. I don't remember which one was better than the other, but a good smile or a flirty expression were about tied for second. In number one was looking off camera with a neutral expression. That was the most effective photo type of expression and where they were looking that guys could have who are looking for girls who on the app for like success. And so I use that, and a lot of guys, like I'll go on a shoot and they'll be like, why aren't you getting photos of me smiling? And then I explain this to them and like, okay, cool. I'll get some photos of guys smiling. That's an important, especially if you have a great smile, use it, right? But you have to honor the data, and the data shows that if you looking off with a neutral expression is best by far. It was like a significant difference.
And I mean, I imagine that looking off camera kind of gives the perception of, oh, this is normal for me. Like there's a camera in front of me. Yeah, but I'm just like normal guy doing normal things versus straight into the camera, big smiles, like, hey, I'm a tourist. Look at this kind of thing, which is not, I mean, does that kind of make sense? Like, yeah, that's kind of why I think
there are ways to look in the camera and smile that are good, but it's like a subtle difference I can't really explain without looking at photos. But yeah, that's one thing I see is like there's a bunch of photos that guys show me the before, and they're like, and there's like the Eiffel Tower in the background. I'm like, like I have one of my clients, was one of my clients or one of my friends? I don't remember. I think it was one of my friends. I don't know. Somebody I saw recently. I don't know why I'm forgetting this. It was one of my friends, I think. I didn't work with him. But I was giving him advice of like what to do. He has a photo of him shaking hands with Markiplier. And I'm like, nice. That's cool, but that doesn't say anything about you. It doesn't make you look cool. It makes Markiplier look cool. And then it kind of makes you look less cool because you're trying to make yourself look cool by being next to somebody else. So like if you feel you need to be next to this famous person to look cool, what does that say about you? Right? It's kind of like you being next to the Eiffel Tower being like, look, I'm cool. It's like, no, that's cool. You're just a dude that needs that to look cool.
Yeah. It's like how you present yourself next to the cool thing, right? Like, oh yeah, I'm next to this cool thing, but it's no big deal to me because I do cool things all the time. So
yeah.
So
sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
No. I met Markiplier, but like a picture verse of the two of them just chilling is probably baller as hell.
Exactly. There's this growth hacker guy that I met a few times. He's a master at marketing. He's an entrepreneur. He's fucking amazing at a lot of things business. And he had this thing that he would do, and he would explain this. He said, when you meet a celebrity, you ask somebody to take a photo of you, and instead of posing, you just talk to them. And so you're getting a photo of you talking to a person.
Ooh, that's a good.
And if you notice, two famous people, like sometimes they do this on purpose, like you can tell, but sometimes they're probably just being normal. You'll see two famous people doing a photo op, and they're not like, oh, look at that guy. It's like they're just hanging, right? And sometimes they understand this dynamic because a lot of people who are able to build and maintain fame are very, 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 very aware of how they're perceived, and they know how to use that. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to maintain fame. You know, it's not a good or a bad thing. You know, you don't have to be conceited to be aware of social dynamics and perception. It doesn't require you to be conceited or shallow. You could actually be a very heart-centered, warm, great person and have this skill. And then now you have fame at your disposal and you can use your gifts a lot more. It's not necessarily, like, that's one thing that I mean, we're going into like the morality of fame now, but, but to connect it back, it's like being aware of how people perceive you gives you a lot of power over your own leadership and how people respond to you. It's important.
Yeah, definitely. So it's like being aware of how people see you in these high status situations is very important. Like that's yeah.
Yeah, and also even going further, this applies to my shoots as well. I tell all my clients, I'm like, by the way, confident and comfortable when it comes to how you look are synonyms. Like a confident person, like if you look at somebody, oh, he looks confident. What you're really seeing is a person who looks comfortable in their skin and comfortable in their environment. Like I'm not trying to look confident here, but I'm comfortable. Just this is what makes me comfortable right now. And I feel I have the internal freedom to lean on your furniture. And I know like it's not like I'm doing any disrespect, but like I'm open. I don't feel like I have to close off because you also make me comfortable, but also I like this space, right? But I'm also confident in myself, right? So I'm not going to be like, oh, this looks unconfident, but it's because I'm uncomfortable, right? So body language wise, confident and comfortable are the same thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense.
And if you don't feel comfortable, then try to make yourself feel comfortable. And if you can't make yourself feel comfortable and you don't look comfortable, then try to open yourself up, and your body language will actually change your emotions. It works both ways.
Because people are going to read that instantly.
Yeah, but not even that. Like even for yourself, even if you don't even care about how you look and you just want to feel more comfortable, open yourself up when you don't feel like it. But if you also want to, if you want to change how you look to other people, because I also, as much as I'm a photographer that cares about looks, I mean, I'm a photographer and a model. Like you can't care more about looks than I do. But I've also come to the realization recently that like you need to cultivate. Like I've realized the importance of internal happiness and internal self-love, right? And a lot of that has to do with like loving yourself regardless of how you look. But like, so I guess I'm becoming a lot more nuanced in the way I think about things. But even if your goal is self-love, being more comfortable and confident and relaxed with your body language will kill two birds with one stone. Because the more comfortable and confident you look, the more you will feel. It goes both ways.
That mind-body connection is just crazy because you're totally right. Like you can, if you're feeling in your head, if you're feeling unconfident, whatever, if you just say, okay, I accept this, but then you physically change, just boom, that's it. Yeah, and it's also, just crazy.
Conversely, I guarantee you, if I go like this, I'm going to get nervous.
Exactly.
Like if I do this, I'm already feeling nervous. Like I'm like, it goes both ways. So your feelings, if you're not mindful, your feelings will dictate your body posture and you won't change anything. But if you're mindful, you'll be in charge of that loop. You'll lead yourself to comfort.
Yeah, dude, that's totally true. It's so true. So, so what are some pointers that you give to guys to pose? Because I imagine most of these guys have never posed in front of a camera before. So what are some things you can do to make them confident, comfortable, etc.?
So the first thing I do is I give that energy. I chill with them. I be comfortable. I be confident. I joke with them. Almost all clients are nervous at the beginning of the shoot. Pretty much every single client, regardless how confident they are, regardless how much they've cold approached girls or anything. They're all very uptight at the beginning. Without fail, I've worked with over 150 clients around the world. Zero, and my shoots are 5-6 hours long. Zero are uncomfortable after 2 hours. Zero. And every single one, unprompted, I can't think of one who hasn't said this, says after an hour or two, oh, wow, this is a lot easier than I thought it was. Says to me unprompted. And that's because of the energy I put in. So I create that environment. And that's as I used to work with another photographer. I used to be on another team of dating profile photographers. I'd already started my own business, and then I worked with them for a bit, and I went back to my own business. And he had said to me something that really stuck with me. The CEO of that company, and we're on good terms. I still talk to him. He said, half of getting a good photo is photography skills and gear. The other half is people skills. So me getting a good photo of my client, a lot of it is I need to make them comfortable. And I also need to, and so that's number one, right? Number two is I used to suck at posing people. And I also have to do an extra hard job because I'm not just posing people, I'm posing people to make them not look posed. That's extra hard. I had no idea what I was doing at first. When I was charging like $50 to $100 for a 4 or 5 hour shoot, which is a 20th, $100 is a 20th of my middle package, and 50 is a 20th of my low package. So like I'm charging 20 times that or more because I have a high package. It's more than that.
Yeah.
When I charged pennies, in my mind, I had no idea what I was doing, and I wouldn't tell clients what to do. I'd just snap the photo. I'd be like, oh yeah, go over there. And then they'd be like, what do I do with my hands? And I'm like, figure it out. And they got so uncomfortable. They were like, I don't know what I'm doing. Right? So the better I got at posing and the better I got at people skills, the more I realized that if I tell people exactly what to do, and I'm very commanding with heart, and also I can be very, very specific, and I don't mince my words. I'm like, oh, put your head like this, to move your head kind of like that, kind of put your chin out a little bit and then give me a smirk, right? I'll be very specific, and I'll try not to have any silence. And if I have silence, then it's a very subtle thing. It's very difficult. That's a whole topic in itself. The dynamics of photographer and client, because it's almost like a dance.
The confidence of the photographer transfers to the model.
Yes.
Yeah.
If I'm like, oh yeah, what would look good here? Put your hand like on your chin, right? They're gonna be like, oh, okay, I guess. But if I'm like, okay, take your hand, go like this, kind of put it on your chin, kind of like it's not a bad aggressive pose, but like kind of lean into it a little bit, look off to the side, almost like you're thinking about something, and turn your head a little bit that way. I don't know what I'm looking like now, so I don't know if I'm looking fucking stupid, but but like if I'm confident, even if I'm just trying something out, they're going to do it and they're going to like it, and they're going to be like, okay, cool, this guy knows what he's doing. And especially like you want to reward them as much as possible. Like, oh, that's it. Oh, fuck yeah. And then like you do, especially with women, especially with boudoir shoots, because that's what a lot more than, shooting with guys. It's like, you give them, you're like, oh, that's perfect. Just keep it right there. It's like, that is like, oh my God, yes. Cause like they're in your hands and you're in control. And it's a very vulnerable position for them. And for you to not give any praise whatsoever, they're like, am I doing it right? I don't know. I feel really uncomfortable. Can I trust this guy? Does he know what he's doing? The moment that and you're commanding, you sound like you know what you're talking about. And then you give them that praise, like, okay, cool, I'm doing it right,
Dude, that is 100% true. I mean, I feel like for the work that I do, I am much less of a director and more of a feedback giver kind of thing.
Isn't that the same thing?
I don't know. Is it? I mean, maybe it is. Maybe it is. Yeah. Because I don't, I feel like I do a lot less directing, like, oh, move here, do this, put your head here, hips here, that kind of thing, versus just kind of let the model flow, pose, see what she's doing, and then see what I like, and then just be like, boom, oh, that's it. Yeah, do that again, move in this way. I love that. So I definitely hear what you're saying. That's
you're
exactly
also working
right.
with models that know how to model.
Most of the time,
yeah. So if you're working with models that know how to model, let them do their thing.
And I also feel like women naturally learn this so much better than men. Like just even a woman who has never modeled is almost
a woman who is inner feminine, at least.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So you're right about that. For men, you have to direct them. Also, like, we're logical guys. They're like, what do I do with my hands?
Yeah,
you didn't tell me to do it. You didn't tell me what to do with my hands, so I did nothing. I just left it where it was. It's like, they're not going to feel their body and like, I feel like I want to do this. They're just going to like, women are like, they're fucking like body and emotion. It's like all kind of put together.
It's all one, yeah.
And if you're making them feel good, if they feel comfortable and they feel sexy, then like, they're going to be like, I'm going to look sexy. The sexier they feel, the sexier they look. The more comfortable a guy is, the more comfortable he'll look, but sometimes you got to tweak a few things here and there because there's not as much of a feeling body connection. Yeah,
100%. Cool.
This is fascinating. I'm voicing things I've never put words to before. You're asking great questions here.
Yeah. No, this is good, man. I'm learning a lot, dude. This is
awesome.
This is really good.
I'm glad. I'm learning a lot too. I've never put words to this, so I'm like, oh shit, I do know what I'm talking about.
This.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah. By the way, I'm definitely gonna loan you that book.
Oh,
Dataclysm by Christian Rudder. I forget.
I appreciate that.
Or you can buy it, whatever.
I genuinely, I would accept that. I just love reading things on my Kindle. I don't like bringing books with me.
About a year ago, stopped buying books and went all to Audible.
Yeah.
I love it. It's different listening, but now it's just so convenient. That's all I do.
I actually have an Audible credit. I might do that. I normally would take you up on that offer. It's just even if I was to read it, I would want it on my Kindle just because it's so convenient.
Yeah, totally. And the other cool thing about audiobooks, 2x, 2.5x.
Yeah.
Dude, it's a game changer.
Yeah.
Game changer.
Sponsored by Audible.
Give me some free shit. Please.
Not sponsored
Actually,
by Audible.
Spotify. That's what I use now. So.
Oh, yeah, because they have audiobooks.
They have audiobooks.
Is
now.
it like, do they have a good selection?
Everything, as far as I can tell.
Okay.
A few you have to purchase by themselves, but it seems like the rest are all streamable. So
Like for free?
with the premium account. So
Yeah, I mean, I like the normal premium account with the music.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Learn something new every day.
Well, that was a big investment on their part.
Yeah.
Wow.
I had Audible last year.
Yeah.
And then someone told me that Spotify had the books. And
thought you had to buy them.
at that time, I was not a Spotify subscriber, and I'm like, "Oh shit! Well, this is it." So
Yeah, I subscribe to Spotify. It's just having access to all the music's fucking great.
oh yeah,
It's like and Spotify, like when they signed on Joe Rogan for an exclusive deal, like they became like the place for podcasts. And then because everyone was listening podcasts on there, like I don't know I haven't listened to a podcast on anything else, even though I've kind of gotten annoyed with Joe Rogan because he's not a great listener. I love the guy. I don't agree with everything he says, but he's a fucking great guy. He's hilarious. He's funny. He's really relatable. And he's not a guy that like, he will tell you himself that he gets a lot of shit wrong. He's not a guy that you want to listen to for advice necessarily, but you want to listen to the conversations, and he's a fucking great comedian. I've seen him twice, and I didn't realize how good of a comedian he was. I just hate when he has somebody really smart on and he interrupts the fuck out of them. And I'm like, and so I stopped listening to him recently because I'm like, I want to listen to this fucking like person that you invited on and you're interrupting them. And I'm like, okay. So, but even though I've stopped listening to him for the moment, I still listen. Like I'm still like Spotify all in. That was the best investment they could have made. $100 million allegedly that they paid to him, but like worth it.
dude. And his latest contract supposedly is $250 million, and he's back on YouTube now. Which is the best thing ever because
I was wondering about that because
Spotify video was good, but on YouTube, even better. Because I'm already on YouTube.
So it's not exclusive anymore.
It's not exclusive anymore.
It's crazy because there was one episode that got taken down briefly because of a technical issue, and it was put back up on Spotify, and it was the same, nothing cut. People checked it, like the same, whatever. It was the Protect Our Parks 11, which is like 5 hours, 7 minutes. And I went to YouTube. I'm like, oh, well, now I really want to listen to it now that it's cut from Spotify.
Yeah.
And I go to YouTube and it was there and it wasn't taken down. So I was confused. I was like, isn't that like, but that makes sense now. I didn't realize. I didn't know that was a thing.
He came back with, I don't know if Cat Williams was the first one that he came back with, but he's back on YouTube now, which is fucking awesome.
Cool.
So, yeah. So,
yeah, that's great. That's, I had no idea.
Yeah.
I just thought that was a fluke that it was also weird that it was taken off of Spotify for a bit. I wasn't sure where that was. But apparently a bunch of different podcasts were taken off at the same time, and it was some audio issue or something.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
That's going to make the conspiracy theorists run wild.
Yeah, but it got put back on, and there was no difference. So,
okay.
Say what you will about that.
It is what it is, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe is a freaking Austin guy now. He's been for a few years, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, well, I've been here, for 6 years.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the other Joe?
I mean Joe Rogan.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I got you. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's an Austin guy. I haven't seen him around town, except for like when I paid to see him.
Yeah. I haven't seen him either.
I did run into what's his name? Hans Kim.
Oh yeah.
He's
great.
Hilarious.
He's great.
Dude, it was really funny. So he was in Hancock Park with his girlfriend, and he was flying an airplane, like a model airplane, Amazon. They bought from Amazon.
Oh, nice.
And it got stuck in a tree. And me and my friend were walking around, and we were like, "Oh, we should help this random." We didn't know who it was. We help this random dude get this plane out of a tree. And we go over there, and my friend's tall, I'm short, so my friend's like jumping up and like shaking the tree, and I'm like, "You look like a comedian," and no, he's like, yeah, I'm Hans Kim. And I'm like, oh, cool. And so we just got to talking. He's like, yeah, I got this thing from Amazon. Thought it would be fun. And then now it's stuck in a tree. And so we got out of the tree and then we kept walking and then he got it stuck in another tree and it's still in that tree. So
Still in that tree.
I mean, I went back like the next week and it was still in that tree, but
Damn, Hans, you got to get that thing back, man.
yeah, I'm planning to take, I don't know if you saw that photo of me with the explosion behind me.
No, I didn't.
I'm planning to take one of him, but like he's obviously on tour. He has like no time.
Yeah.
But there's just for the fuck of it, for fun, because it would be great. It'd be great to have him in my fucking portfolio.
Oh yeah, that'd be sick.
And he also uses similar photos in his promotion. So Hans, if you're hearing this and you're back in town, I guess I could just hit him up. But if you're back in town, let me know so that we can make this happen. But yeah, so I took this photo. It's actually another fun photo, just a random thing. Let me bring it up actually.
Yeah.
You've seen this one.
Oh yeah. Of course I've seen this.
Yeah.
Dude, Hans, get yourself a version of this picture, my man.
Yeah.
Come on.
Oh, he knows. He's just on tour and shit and is busy as hell.
Yeah, I have seen this one. This is
I
awesome.
guarantee you he has way more important things to do and he has a lot more free photo offers.
Yeah.
I mean, he said he's down. He's just like, fuck, how the hell do you coordinate with somebody like that unless you work with him? So we'll make it happen. But yeah, so I watched a lot of. Have you heard of Corridor Crew?
No, I haven't.
So they're a visual effects artist on YouTube, and they're fucking great. They break down a bunch of visual effects. They're also a visual effects studio. They make a bunch of short films. And I've been learning so much about visual effects from them. And they're like, oh yeah, if you want to have an explosion, you want to make sure there's actual light in that scene that mimics what you want. And so I contacted Austin City Council. I'm like, hey, can I put off a nuke? And they're like, no. I didn't say that.
Those guys.
Hey,
Come on, guys.
Yeah. We don't need.
Let's support the arts here. Come
we
on.
don't need East Austin. That's fine.
Yeah. I can.
Actually,
move.
this is East Austin.
I can move. I'll move. Just let me know beforehand.
Yeah. I was about to say your address, but that wouldn't be good.
Cut that part out.
Yeah. No. I was like, where can I go where I can eclipse the sun? Like the sun is behind my back. Because if there's an explosion behind me, right? So that's in Zilker Park. And it's funny, I actually, I had a match on Tinder. I think it was Tinder, it might have been Hinge. I was like, hey, do you want to learn some photography? And she was like, sure. She had like the Greekest name. It was like Ophelia or something like that. No, that's Roman. I don't know. It was some super Greek name that started with an O. I don't remember. But she was like, yeah, let's go. And so she came to the park and I'm like, cool, like take a photo of me. And I took photos of her and she took photos of me. And that was one of the photos she took. Cause I was like, I could just put on a tripod, but this would be more fun. And so she took a photo of me and I positioned myself to where the sun was like right behind my back. And then I color graded it and got some explosion photo. And then I did a bunch of light wrapping around myself. So that, like, you know, if there's an explosion behind you, what would happen is the light would wrap around and color the pixels next to where it actually hit the lens because it was so bright. And then I also put the UFOs in. And I actually learned something there because I was trying to make it look like I was taking off my sunglasses. And so at first I had my sunglasses halfway off. And I realized that looked stupid. What looks the best is your sunglasses are all the way on and you're just holding the corner.
Just holding it, yeah. I see that.
Yeah, that was not intuitive. But that I found is the best way to make it look like you're taking your sunglasses off from a still frame, is have them all the way on and just be holding the corner.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty obvious what you're doing, so that is a good tip.
That was a trial and error part because I messed that up several times.
Yeah, yeah.
But that was just a fun one. This is not something I do for clients because it takes a lot of creative energy for one shot. And it's a hit or a miss. So that's not really something I do for clients. I'd rather much more bang for the buck to get like high status, cool photos of you doing real shit.
Do you use any of the AI gen for photos?
Oh yeah. I actually have a friend. Let me get my phone. I have a friend. Only one. I have I have more than one friend. I have a friend who I'll show you my dating profile and I'll show you the I'm gonna ask you which one. Some of these you've seen on my Instagram, so you know what. Well, It'll be easy for you to figure out which one's AI. I'll just show you the AI one. I have a friend who trained his own AI. He got Stable Diffusion and trained his own LoRa's.
Nice.
You know what a LoRa is.
Yeah.
He trained his own LoRa's, and he charges a lot, but it's worth it. Believe it or not, that is 100% fake.
Even you?
Yeah. It's trained on 40 photos of me, but it's not me. Completely fake.
Damn.
Completely, 100%. None of that is real. It's trained on me.
That's
but it's not.
crazy.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, that's a
That's
totally
wild.
100% fake photo.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, he gave me 700 and only 100 were usable. But as long as you're,
That's still pretty good. And I mean, I just cranked them out for free, right? Essentially. It's
well,
just
for him,
training cost.
I paid him.
Sure.
But yeah. Although I paid him half of what he charges because I'm his friend. But yeah, so I mean, I have a bunch more where that came from. So again, me on my best day, stretching the truth, yes. The photo, which I'm sure you all have seen on the edited version or whatever. I'm on a boat. I'm looking a little buffer than I usually do. But here's the thing. I'm working on my physique. I'm working out an hour or two, 5 days a week. And I'm also running 7 to 10 miles on a sixth day. And I'm eating a lot of protein. So like, I'm going to be that in maybe a year. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
So is it stretching the truth? Yes. But is it me on my best day? It's a little bit of a stretch, but yes, I've been on boats like that. I've had shirts like that. I've looked like that with sunglasses and shit. It's not that far off of what I could be in a few months, right? And it's funny, none of the apps have banned me for it. No girls have ever commented on any of it at all. And it's never been an issue of whatsoever.
Interesting. So do you think these AI pictures are just going to be all we see on dating apps at some point? Like, what's going to happen there?
What's going to happen is there's going to be a cat and mouse game for a bit. I don't know how that will end, but Bumble's already doing it. They're trying to detect AI. I don't have that one on Bumble because they're a lot more strict with detecting photos as fake. They actually flagged all my photos as fake, even the real ones, because I edit a lot of them with slight AI features like Face App, maybe to change something slightly, or maybe like for instance, one it was I used generative expand to get a little bit extra to get a better cropping. But like it was still like 95% real, and the rest of it kind of looked like what was actually in the real world. It was just generated, right? So Bumble is very, very like hair trigger. But Tinder, the thing is, Tinder's slow moving. It's a lot. It's very like computationally heavy to detect photos. Plus, they get a lot of money from bots, so there's an incentive not to. Hinge and Tinder are both on the Match Group. They're both owned by the same people. But Hinge will probably be first in trying to crack down on that because they don't get money from bots. But it's computationally heavy, right? But at one point it won't be. And so there's going to be a cat and mouse game. There's going to be like a detecting AI, and then AI is going to get better to not get detected. And then and then there's going to be a lot of AI photos, and then they're going to get better at detecting, and it'll go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that will end. But like there's a lot up in the air that I'm sure smarter people have figured out how it's gonna work out. Because there's also the dating apps are getting more and more competitive, right? What I do won't work in 5 years probably because I think it still might. That's the thing. There's a lot of uncertainties. But it's getting more and more competitive, and so there has to be some sort of rebalancing. Like the dating market, for instance, is getting more and more polarized, more and more competitive. Mm-hmm. If you're not in the top 1%, maybe 5%, but definitely 1%, you're not like the top 1 to 5% are getting all the matches. And it's getting more and more polarized because a lot more women are getting off the apps, a lot more men are going on, and a lot more men are getting help like me. And so I guess I'm being a little defeatist, but there's going to be some sort of rebalancing where there's going to be a new option that's going to not be dating apps. Because, in a free market, you can't have such a strong imbalance without a readjustment.
What do you think that next thing is going to be? More in-person meetups, like the apps that do the in-person kind of thing? What do you think? Maybe.
I don't know. I mean, dating apps, people couldn't conceive of them before they happened. Smart people probably could. There are some very insightful people that are insightful enough to be able to see what's coming, like Ray Kurzweil. Mm-hmm. He's the kind of guy that can...
Singularity guy.
Yeah, and he's predicted a lot of stuff because he has such insight and genius that he's able to see the trends, right? And I can see some of the trends, but I can't see what's going to happen more, except that there has to be something that happen. You can't have such an imbalance in a free market that doesn't get changed, that doesn't get balanced out, right? The whole thing about like, it's a little controversial to say, but it's true. Social media has affected about how a lot of women see themselves. And it used to be that a beautiful woman wouldn't necessarily know she was beautiful. And I'm not necessarily saying it's a bad thing, but when it comes to the sexual marketplace, now a beautiful woman knows exactly how beautiful she is, and she knows exactly how many options she has, which means that she's going to be looking for a much higher kind of guy, which means that all the beautiful women, and even a lot of the women that don't really have a chance, are vying for the best of the best, because they're all getting so many likes, and they're like, well, I'm the best, I'm super sexy, so I'm going to only go for the top of the top guys, right? And so it polarizes the marketplace more and more and more. But that's an unsustainable market. So I don't know exactly what's going to happen. And I'm just talking about this just pure cold calculation analytics. No good, no bad. I'm just looking at what's happening and trying to describe it and trying to describe where it's going. I have no idea where it's going to go, but you can't have such an imbalance in any marketplace, in any free marketplace, and for it to sustain itself. So right now, this is how it works. Like dating is very competitive, and you have to really work on yourself. And you and I are really high value men, which is why we get along and why we like each other and why we're on a similar path, similar journey. But like if you don't have much going on for your life, it's going to get more and more difficult to find somebody, and it's kind of sad. So like.
yeah. So do everything you can, basically.
Do everything you can. I mean, so the happy part of it is the one thing I like to say is people, what I just said, people will come at me with that. And I'm like, well, here's the thing. Okay. It is 100% true that the top, and I'm just throwing numbers out here, the top 1% of guys get all the girls, right? To simplify things. So just be a top 1% guy. Then your problems are gone, right? That doesn't solve the societal thing. I think it should always be the top guys get all the options, because that's how society works. Men work to get our results, and our love for women propels us to improve. Yeah. That's what's propelled men in society to improve throughout history, and that's not wrong. I just think it used to not be 1%, it used to be a top 5 or 10% maybe. And so I don't think it's necessarily good or bad. I just think it's unsustainable.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of that is good news, to be honest, because I think it's never been easier to stand out.
Yeah.
So
that too, because a lot of guys don't do the work. They feel there's no point.
And I don't think there's that, honestly, these days, I don't think it's that much work to stand out, to be honest. Like, you still need to put in the work and do the right things, but man, like, there's so many people in that bottom 50, 75, whatever percentile, just popping out of that's going to give you so much advantage, I think.
That's another good point that you're making too, because it's not just that women are more selective and they know their worth a lot more, and also society is a lot more focused on making women feel good than men feel good. Mm-hmm. Male self-esteem is not a priority of society right now, unfortunately. But women's self-esteem is, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I just think the fact that it should be both. It shouldn't be one or the other. It should be both. But I don't know what I was going to say.
Yeah. It should be, we should be lifting all boats, basically.
Yeah, we should be lifting all boats. But it is true that, like in America and parts of Europe, I'm sure, a lot of men, America for sure, and I think UK as well, a lot of people are overweight. Mm-hmm. And so if you're just not overweight, well, now you're above 50, you're in the 60th percentile.
Yeah.
And it's like, what?
That's huge.
It's crazy. And then if you're not living from paycheck to paycheck, okay, You know, maybe you still have credit card debt, but you're not living paycheck to paycheck. Okay, that's big, right? So like, it's not that hard to be in the top 10% where you getting a good amount of options. Getting in the top 1%, like it might be as hard as it was 20 years ago to be in the top 5% because the quality of men has gone down. The quality of people have gone down too. The quality of women have gone down. Like people in general have been working on themselves less and indulging themselves more. That's definitely been a trend.
Yeah, no, there's totally a separation going on right now, like a total bifurcation. You know, people are just really separating. You know, we always talk about the wealth inequality, but that inequality is just going, I think, much deeper than we realize. Like social inequality, just visual inequality. People are overweight. They don't have good jobs.
Health inequality.
Not to mention all the SSRIs and stuff that are being prescribed. It's just wild.
Dude,
it's just crazy.
It's almost like the wealth inequality is a symptom of something bigger.
Yeah.
Because like wealth is an indicator. It's feedback from the world of how useful you've been. If you've been useful, then you'll have more of it. I really like what Elon Musk like just broke it down on the most engineer way. You know what I'm about to say, right? He's like, monetary system is like a database of labor or of value. It's a database of value. You give value to society, you get money. So it's like it's a database.
It's a scoreboard.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot to be said for the spiritual component of money and all that stuff. That's, it's different models to look at it from different angles. But, yeah, I mean, if you look at the wealth inequalities, I think it's just a symptom of something much bigger. Inequality in general. And, who knows what the solution to that is.
Yeah, who the fuck knows, dude? It's just, who knows?
It's a complicated problem.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think we're going to solve it. So what's your favorite app?
I love Hinge because it works the best for me.
Yeah.
I'm on the main three, Hinge, Tinder, and Bumble. I am curious about the League. I know for men, I think you have to pay like $1,000 or $3,000, and women for women is free. So I don't know. I know women really like it.
I'm on there. I can show it to you later.
It's good? Yeah, please. I'm really curious.
And Hinge is what you recommend for guys?
So what I recommend is try all three, pay for them, and swipe on them at least 20 times a day, at least 50 times a day for a month.
50 times a day for a month?
Yeah, and that takes 5 minutes each app. It's not that long. Right is a swipe and left is a swipe, right? Or on Hinge, you have to click the button. And then after a month, keep the ones that are giving you matches and delete the ones that aren't. It's not that hard.
Yeah. And you pay for them? Recommend that?
Yeah, for sure. 100%. And the reason is like the super fucking simple reason is you see everybody that likes you. And you get unlimited likes.
And the company themselves has an incentive to deliver you results, right?
Yes. They will boost you in the algorithm, but you still have to swipe. I have one client that was like, I'm not getting any matches. And I'm like, how many times are you swiping? He's like, not at all. And I'm like, that's the problem. He's like, but I pay for it. I'm like, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
So
they're only going to reward you if you actually use it.
Yeah, and also if they match you with girls and you ghost them, then they're not going to stay on the app. And girls are so like it's 3 to 1 ratio. There's out of 75% of the users are guys plus. Now it's more, right? Only 25% are girls, and only a small portion of those are the more attractive girls that guys really want. So it's like, and that's going to keep the guys who pay. So if they match girls with guys that ghost them and don't meet up, those girls are going to leave, which means the guys are going to leave, which means they're not going to get as much money. So it's in their best interest to give the girls guys that will give them what they want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What do you think about videos in the apps? I know Hinge supports videos, maybe Bumble. I don't remember. What do you think about that?
No. And a very simple reason. It takes a moment to load, and in that moment, a girl's going to swipe left. I swipe left. If the first thing if the second or third thing's a video, I'm annoyed because it takes a moment to load, but I still might swipe right if the first couple photos are good. But if the first photo's a video, it's not loading, I'm like, fuck this.
What do you think if they fix that latency? Do you think that's
more of a
game changer?
That's not really the app. That's the connection. That's probably your cellular service or your Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Yes, but so if there was no latency is a fictional answer. Yes, but it takes a lot of creative energy to make it great. Like you either are you in a really cool situation and you take a video of that, or you find a way to put a lot of creative energy into making a really cool, interesting photo or video. Kind of like me with the explosion video. You make an equivalent video that's really fucking cool or funny or hilarious. It takes a lot of creative energy though. And so if you have that creative energy and you want to use it, awesome. But I can't sustainably do that for a bunch of clients.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. What about bio messaging prompts, things like that? Do you guys give any guidance for guys, or what's going on there?
Yeah, so I give guidance. I actually started doing some text and dating coaching. I generally wanted to avoid this just because it takes a lot of time and effort. But I'm starting to do it, and it's fun for me. I'm very picky with clients, though. I've got to be coachable. They've got to be chill. They've got to be like, it can't like be expecting me to respond super quick, because I respond sometimes in a few hours, you know, and it's just how it's going to be because I'm busy, right? But this guy is super chill. It's been great. The bio, it matters, but not much. And bio only, like, if your photos really excite a girl, she doesn't care about your bio, as long as it's not bad. A bad bio can change any girl's mind. Girls are looking for reasons to swipe left. And so if you have a bio that's bitter, it's like no fatties, it's like, well, then you just don't swipe right on any of them and you won't get any. Like, that's the worst thing to put in a, I've had people like who are just so bitter in dating apps are like, like, don't ghost me. It's like, you can't, like, that's not something you put in a bio. Like, that's gonna just turn away. You're bitter now. You're like that bitter, frustrated dude. You can't be bitter. And even if you are bitter and frustrated, you got to work through that shit on your own. You can't put that on every girl, because there's gonna be a girl that's gonna be exactly who you want to be, and you're frustrated, and she's ready to give you what you want, but you're not gonna be able to see her because you're just frustrated, right? And it's sad. I've done this to myself. I've projected my frustrations from other girls onto girls that I just started seeing, and it pushes them away. It's sad. There's actually a really profound experience I had recently where I was thinking about all my experiences with women, and I was thinking about me and her aren't dating anymore, but when we were, there was this one thing she would do, where she would look at me and she'd like have these tears in her eyes when she was like really sad about something, and it was very rare she would do this. And she would just look at me with these puppy eyes all teared up. And I was thinking about all my experiences with women, and I had that image in my mind, and I was like, why? Like, what is, and I realized what happened was I was rejecting myself in so many situations, and women want me. They want my love. They want my attention. There are a lot of women that really want me, and I've rejected myself. So I'm getting into like, I'm kind of going on a tangent here, but it was like a really profound experience for me to go through, to have that image of my ex now, but a girl that I loved for a year and a half. We were dating, as we got pretty deep there. And to see this intense face of sadness, and just realize I wasn't thinking about her. I was thinking about all the women that for whatever reason I did something to sabotage the relationship. And it's not this situation. This is, me and her were not compatible in a very fundamental way. But with a lot of women, I've wrecked the relationship somehow. And it was because at a fundamental level, I didn't think that I was worthy of a good relationship. And so that's the thing a lot of guys do. A lot of women do it, and they usually manifest in a different way.
Self-sabotage.
Yeah. Because you're scared, because you don't think that you deserve somebody who's actually there for you in the right ways. Because being vulnerable is fucking scary as hell. Mm-hmm. So like, the first half of this conversation, I'm talking about like, super red pill, real facts, which shouldn't be ignored. But I think there's another side of the issue that I think is really important, where like dating is also about emotions and inner confidence and true centeredness. And you can talk all about, the techniques and the sexual market value, and that's very important to be aware of. But the other side of it is it's people connecting with people, and that's an emotional thing. And if you don't have your emotional health in order, you have baggage that you have on yourself. And this is a thing that I think I think most people in red pill communities are aware of how, they're healthy men, but there are a subset that is very bitter. And and they're trying to play out their inner battles in the real world with women.
Yeah.
And it's something that I've done, and it's something that is sad to see, because it's not like, that's the thing where it's like, I guess I'm getting pretty deep here, but this is good.
It's good. It's good. Yeah, no, a lot of those, like, I think the red pill is mostly good, but a lot of that, it's just used as a sort of excuse to, I don't know, hate somebody, like projecting your own shortcomings onto women, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's so easy to do, you know.
Yeah, and I agree. It's most like it's really good because society nowadays likes to, and I think there is something to be said for focusing on self-esteem and making people feel good for who they are. But we've been going so far on that direction and neglected facts, cold hard facts, and the understanding, the truth that you have to be useful to other people in some way, even friendships, even relationships. It's not an unconditional thing. You can unconditionally love somebody and say, fuck you. I still love her, but I will not have her in my life because we're not compatible in a lot of ways. And I have no qualms never talking to her ever again. Doesn't mean I don't love her, you know? So I think, but that's the thing. It's like, it's not that you can't love other people. It's, you know, you honoring the fact that the people you keep in your life need to be useful to you in some way is a freeing thing, because we all know it. Most of us are ignoring it, which makes us feel really weird.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I think it's almost a necessity that you don't want to admit, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, you're just like, yeah, this person, you know, the love and emotion and affection you feel for someone is important, yes, but at the end of the day, you're not going to, if they're not, you know, if you're not providing each other something, then what the hell? You know?
And I think there's a lot of room in a relationship for like, oh, they're having a bad day, a bad week, a bad month.
Sure.
Maybe if you've been together for a while and you've had a lot of amazing growth experiences, about a year or two, but that's a bit extreme. But like, be there for your partner, for your friend, for your lover, for whoever, when they've had bad days, and support them. But, you know, if it goes on, if I'm married to a woman, I don't ever want to get married, but if I commit to a woman, right, and I'm with her for 10 years and she starts getting addicted to meth, I'll give her a bit of time, but I won't give her much. If she doesn't turn shit around real quick, I love you, but I can't be there. I can't be here for you.
Yeah.
No matter what we've shared with each other.
Yeah, she has to choose to get better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that, and that's you know, that, and there is that unconditional love, but there is not unconditional space in my life, right? I have unconditional love for everybody, but I'm picky with who I give my time to and who I give my presence to, and I can love somebody from afar if I need to. So I think that's the thing that solves that. Because when people are like, oh, you should be unconditional with people. Yeah, I should be unconditional with my positive regard to you and the warmth in my heart I feel to you. But sometimes the warmth in my heart I feel to you means that I can't be around you and you can't be in my life. And that doesn't mean you don't love them. In fact, it means you love them more and you love yourself even more.
Yeah, well, I think... Yeah, no, I mean, loving yourself and having respect for yourself also means I'm not going to let you drag me down with you, you know?
And you're respecting them because you're not enabling them. You're like,
right.
You can be better.
Yeah, because in some way, you're right. Because in some way, if you let them drag you down with them, you're almost enabling their behavior.
Yeah.
Because you're like, I'm there with you. And then they look at you and you're doing it too. So it's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
You know?
You're both bringing each other down. You should be bringing each other up. And if you are trying to bring her up and she's going down, it's like, well, then you're going different directions. And either you go down with her or she comes up with you, or you go different directions. There's no other way around it. And I think a lot of people, I mean, I don't want to talk too much about my personal things because it's not just my situation, it's also hers. And I want to honor her privacy. But I will say one thing. When we were breaking up, she was like, well, I guess you didn't love me. It's like, I still do. Like, what? Like, it's not that I didn't love you. I fucking, even right now, like, I have positive regard for her. I don't miss her necessarily. I don't feel like I wish that she was in my life. I don't. I'm happy where I am. I'm happy that I have space in my life for somebody that aligns with me more. And I don't think she did anything bad or wrong. It's just we weren't compatible. And that doesn't mean that you kicking somebody out of your life doesn't mean that that you don't love them. And I think it mean in a way it's you love them more. You respect them more, and you respect yourself.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, because if we were still together, but we're not right, then how are we respecting each other, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, respecting yourself first, respecting her second. But really, it's simultaneous. Like, the more love, it's one thing I also realized recently, the more love you give, the more you have for yourself. Like, when you give to and through you. Like, I can't give to you if I'm truly giving, without giving through myself. That's kind of like, I guess we're getting in this a completely different topic, but like, that's another thing I've started to realize is when you give to others, you give through yourself, and you have more to give.
Yeah, and you can't give through yourself if you don't have belief in yourself and you don't have anything to give. So
Yeah. Yep. And really, that's like coming back to women and dating and stuff. It's like, yeah, you want experiences with girls. I think a lot of guys need to go through a player phase where they're like, I want sex from girls. I want to have these experiences, and I want to find ways to get these experiences with girls. But once you've had enough, and you feel enough inside yourself, because there are guys who have had sex with thousands of women who feel broken inside.
Yeah, they just never stop.
Yeah, I've thankfully only slept with. Well, I don't like. That's one thing I don't really like to. I've slept with enough.
enough. I'm content.
I've slept with enough where I don't have anything to prove to myself.
Yeah.
But all of that, like, after a certain point, after a few dozen, if you keep going with the same fervor and hunger, it's probably because you have a void. And I had a void. I was trying to feel better about myself through women, and they don't have that power.
Yeah. Trying to prove something.
I was trying to prove something to myself, but like, what?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, at some point you've done it so many times, you've just kind of proven to yourself that you can repeat the same thing, right? It's like...
But, and not even that, it's like, well, what... But it's also really good. This is a really good point that I have. When you talk to rich people, there are a lot of rich people that are like, oh, money's not the point. This is actually something I talked to my friend who's very amazing on Instagram. I showed you his photos. Josh Terry, fucking love this guy. I was really confused about something, and I mentioned this to him, and he said, so like, you talk to a lot of rich people, right? And they'll be like, oh yeah, money's not the point of life. It's purpose. It's heart. And you look at them and they're rich. It's like, well, it's not that. And he clarified this for me. He's like, it's not that it's not important. It's that for them, it's irrelevant. They're not thinking about it. Their baseline is rich. So for them, they're thinking about purpose. But for somebody who's living paycheck to paycheck, they should be thinking about getting more money, right? For women, right? For a guy who has no idea what he's doing with women, doesn't know how to bring women into his life on a consistent basis to make him, fulfill his sexual needs, either a girlfriend or several girls, whatever, right? He should be figuring out that, self-improving, how to talk to women, how to be confident. But for a guy who's like a player, finds it easy to match with girls, to talk to girls in person, has no qualms going up to girls and like, hey, you're cute, what's your number? Let's go grab a drink or something, whatever, right? And bring him to us. And gets whatever he wants with girls, or at least enough. And that's his baseline. And it's not that the point is connection and love. It's that for him, he has his needs met, and that's his baseline. So it's irrelevant to him, right? And so I think that's an important thing to remember. I'm saying, oh, what really matters is love. But I'm also self-aware enough to be like, well, maybe I think a lot of guys do need to go through that player phase. It's just watch it, and if it goes too long where it's really not, you're going to get to a point at one point where you realize you think you want to have sex with more girls, but it's not making you feel any better. And when you start thinking about that, it's time to switch to figuring out how to love people.
Yeah, and it's almost impossible to have that realization without having it yourself. You know what I mean? Like, the billionaire says money doesn't matter because he's experienced getting money.
Yes.
You know, the guy says, yeah, sleeping with a lot of women is not important because he slept with a lot of women. It's getting that lesson is tough. Like,
Yeah,
without
Dan
doing it.
Bilzerian saying that, oh, like, I'm sick of sleeping with this woman. It's just too much drama.
Yeah.
But he, in his book, he's self-aware enough to be like, well, that's because I've done it.
Yeah.
You, somebody else who has no idea where the clitoris is or how to eat pussy, or even like doesn't know what a pussy tastes like because you've never done it, right? That person might need to figure out some confidence, figure out how some courage, go out and talk to a bunch of girls and figure out how to invite them to your place. Like, that person needs to learn how to dive into the world of women and figure their shit out, right? But yeah, it's an interesting dynamic to me.
Yeah. Do you think, so the more religious side of things would say, okay, to take their extreme point, two virgins come together, get married, and then they just figure all that shit out together. To be honest, I see their point, but I mean, what do you think about that? Do you think like sexual compatibility is a thing? Do you think you need to kind of discover that? Or do you think that part's kind of an unwritten book? Like, you can just figure that out with somebody else? Like blank slate kind of stuff.
That's a good question. I've talked to my friend about this, and so he's thought about this, and I like his opinion on this. He says, if you find that, fucking great, go with it. If you don't, that's fine too. If you're a virgin, you find somebody, you love her, you both are just deeply in love, and you have subscribed to that, and that path makes you happy, it is a great path for fulfillment. It is one great path for fulfillment. That boat's gone, sailed for me. Like, I can't do that. It's not possible for me. But if that's who you are and that's what you want, fucking skip all this bullshit. Mm-hmm. As long as you find a woman that you won't really be able to really judge, but you find a woman who you think will be loyal and you trust her a lot, like, there's that risk that she won't be. But you'll find out later, and then you'll come back to us. And you'll learn our way. But if you find a great loyal woman who just wants to have sex with you, and you have a great time with her and you have deep, fulfilling connection, go with it. Like, that's a beautiful thing that I think most people don't have access to. But if you have access to it, go for it. I don't think it's a reliable strategy, because it's so hard to find nowadays. And there's a lot of other easier ways, more consistent, reliable ways to find somebody who's awesome, just as awesome for you. But if you have access to that, fucking go with it.
Yeah, I think, I totally agree. I think that sort of thing only works, maybe not only, but works best when it's supported by a lot of contextual support. So if you grow up in that sort of community that supports that, then hell yeah, like, you can do that. But if the community is not there to back that up, then, both of you are going to be going to spring break and partying, and shit's going to happen, and then that's not going to work. So.
Yeah. So I think the religious aspect is good. I mean, it depends on the religion. Sometimes there's other issues with it. Yeah. But a lot of people find a lot of fulfillment and community through religion and happiness and guidance. And there's a lot of religions out there that teach great shit. So I'm not one to say, I'm not a religious guy. I grew up Jewish. I learned a lot of I grew up and learned a lot of the things and practiced them with my family, and now I barely do anything. In fact, bought a menorah, or I guess technically a Hanukkah, but even us Jews call it a menorah, and wanted me to light the candles. I didn't give a shit. I was like, okay, fine, I'll light the candles. What was the prayer again? Let me look it up online to make sure I got it right. So which direction do I light the candles? I forgot. Like, I'm a horrible Jew. Like, I got coal for Hanukkah from Hanukkah Harry. Yeah. I made that shit up. There's no such thing. But but I recognize that religion's great for a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it really is. And even I've, grew up pretty religious, then kind of put it aside. But even people like Jordan Peterson have really brought me back around to it, because he speaks about it with such sort of fervor and intellect that it's very much more deep analysis than I'd heard before, to be honest. Most of it was service level, like, we're going to take the Bible literally, Jonah was literally eaten by a whale. There was literally a flood. Like, hey, maybe that stuff happened, but like, when I'm 5 years old and reading it in a book, I'm like, I don't know about this. So, but I think it's pretty powerful.
It can be, for sure. I feel like For myself, the dogma and the practice of religion isn't necessarily helpful, but the analysis of it is. Mm-hmm. Like, I think I'm happy to analyze and learn from religions and live that way. I don't feel the need to, follow one from the inside.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. Huh, interesting.
So what is your dream with the Austin scene?
It's a good question.
Just for fun, or is there something you want to create here?
It started for social clout, relevancy, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. But now that I'm doing it more, and I actually finding it to be more fun than I thought, I think now is sort of the figuring out the growth phase, figuring out how to grow it, seeing what's there. The reason I have it set up this way is because I wanted to do cheapest, quickest, easiest entry point that I could. Don't have to fuck with a studio, any of that stuff. I can just spin it up, have people over, talk. Don't have to worry about scheduling. And
do you keep this stuff here all the time or no?
Yeah. I mean, cool. I tear it all down. Mm-hmm. Goes back there into storage. Table goes right over there.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But, yeah, I mean, now I'm just kind of maybe going to try to grind on it and see what happens kind of thing. So, yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So,
yeah. So right now you're just kind of riding the wave. You're like, oh, where's this going to go? It kind of seems fun.
Basically. But I think the more research I do into, content growth and that sort of stuff, I'm going to have to make a decision on how serious I want to take it, to be honest. Because you're going to have to put some serious content out there on multiple platforms, quality, quantity, that kind of thing. So that's kind of where I'm at now. It's like how I've almost accomplished what I wanted, which was, okay, let's start, let's get a few episodes out. That makes more than like 90% of people who only ever make one episode. Yeah. So I'm already past that. So now let's kind of see what we can do with it, kind of thing.
Yeah, but also, I mean, there's a lot of people who, and this is what Joe Rogan tells everybody to do, but I think he's also kind of like the rich person being like, oh, it doesn't matter. He already has the fame, right? But he seems to be able to pick people that he thinks would work, and he'd be like, you just do your thing. He's very much always like, if you do your thing and you do as much as possible, much as you as possible, forget about what other people think, it'll work. That genuineness, authenticity.
Yeah.
So there might be something to that. I am not in a position to say whether that makes sense or not. But there are people that are successful that seem to know something about something that say that.
Yeah, that authenticity seems to be a big deal. For obvious reasons, right? Yeah. I mean, you want to be able to relate to someone. And I think that's why Joe picks the people he does, is because he's like, oh, I'm genuinely curious about this. I'm willing to look or sound stupid on a podcast by asking those questions. Yeah. And then it just turns into an amazing episode.
Interrupt them a lot.
Yeah, well,
I go through periods where I'm like, oh man, I really want to hear that person. He interrupted them. I don't know if we got that on camera. We were talking about him beforehand. And I'm like, he interrupts people so much. And we did talk about that.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
But, all of the guy is hilarious, but like, stop interrupting smart people, please. Be better at listening. Not that he's gonna, but I'll come back to him and be like, oh, that's an interesting person, and then enjoy a few episodes and really love it. So I go back and forth.
His group stuff, like Protect Your Parks, where he's funny with guys that he knows, and that's it just hilarious. Flows so well. It's so good.
It's funny. So good. And they're on mushrooms.
Yeah, they're on shrooms, getting drunk. It's crazy. It's crazy good.
That's a fun time. Yeah.
Those are good.
I mean, a lot of comedian ones I really like. If I don't really need. Like, I really love the ones where he has somebody super smart, especially when they talk about psychedelics. Rick Dubin, the founder of MAPS.
Oh, yeah.
I think MAPS changed their name or something recently.
I know what you're talking about,
Yeah. He was really fucking fascinating. A lot of good shit there.
Yeah, that's one of my goals in Austin is to meet Joe, I think. Joe
cool.
Well, I met one Joe. now to meet the Rogan Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's wild.
He's really funny. I mean, I guess I know people that know him, and then I know people that know people that know him. I would like to meet him as well.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that he finds dating profile photography interesting at one point and wants to talk to me.
Yeah.
'Cause I mean, I could talk a lot about He tends to not really go into sexual dynamics that much.
Yeah, at all.
He
Not a
talks
lot
about
at
it with
all.
comedians sometimes.
Yeah, briefly.
And he seems to be very aware of it all.
Yeah, and he had David Buss on.
don't know who that is.
David Buss is a big evolutionary psychologist here at UT.
Oh, that's cool.
And he talks a
recent?
lot about not super recent, but it was very good. But that's a very academic level
Yeah,
stuff.
he
It's
also
not
had
like
More Plays, More Dates on.
he
Derek.
did. Yeah.
I know people that know him. He's from he's on the forums that I'm on, or he was partnering with Chris from Good Looking Loser.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, so, but he's a real chill guy.
Joe's Rogan's original stuff really gives me a lot of inspiration because it's just like it's kind of a shit show. Like it's just him sitting behind a desk just bullshitting, like pulling out a fucking Glock and doing all this other crazy shit. So
yeah, I've
I'm
seen
like,
some of his older stuff. He mentioned something about the first episode. And I'm like, let me actually go into that. And I went Spotify back, and I was like, yeah, this fucking sucks.
This is incredible.
This sucks. What the hell is this?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really funny. It's like, yeah, it's
just some bullshit he started in like 2009, or I don't even know when he started.
a long time ago.
Yeah. It's just
it's
wild.
on some fucking streaming, some weird website.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it wasn't even on YouTube.
No,
it was on something else.
YouTube wasn't around, or like it wasn't big, or it didn't do live. I don't think YouTube didn't do live stuff.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's fucking wild.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Yeah, I mean, it's really cool to see because a lot of people you see, like I went through this leadership weekend that was pretty profound, and the speaker at the leadership workshop weekend, I followed him on Instagram and messaged him like, hey, like, you know, I really appreciate what you did, blah blah blah. It was kind of amazing, and then I noticed that a guy I knew followed him too, and so I was like, huh. I reached out. I was like, yeah, you seem to follow this guy. How'd you meet him? He's like, oh, I went through a leadership week. I'm like, you went through it too. That's crazy. And then I see who this guy is. He is a powerful fucking leader. His name is Zachariah Stratford. He's an AI speaker. He helps people use AI to their advantage, and he does some pretty fucking amazing things with it. And he talks to AI summits around the world. And this guy is, I met him years after his transformation. And so I'm looking at him and I'm like, who was he beforehand?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
And so sometimes you see people, you see the finished product, and it's very easy, especially for people who are in 9-to-5s, don't really have any ambition, are happy being employees, or at least think they're happy being employees and not really shooting for the stars, right? You find those people and they'll look at somebody, they'll just take the finished product as it is, because for them, their life is kind of stagnant, right? They don't have a growth mindset. They're like, everything is as it is. That person was always that way, right? But really the truth is everybody see that's successful at one point, they were fucking not.
Yeah,
you know?
Right.
I had no idea what I was doing with business. I was homeless living on the streets of Colombia for a couple days.
Damn.
And then I was homeless for 2 years, as in like didn't have a home. Was
Homeless on the streets of Colombia.
just 2 nights, but yeah.
Yeah.
I slept in the bus terminal one night and on a park bench the other.
Yeah.
That's a whole podcast in itself, but there's a homeless guy that almost stole all my shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet.
It was like, yeah, I'll take care of you. I know these streets. I'll keep you protected. And then almost stole all my shit and attacked me when I tried to leave.
Yeah.
And then I slept on a park bench that night.
Yeah. Shit. How did you get back? How did you get out of Colombia?
Oh, I had a return ticket.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, and the nights where I slept at a place, it was always for barter. I was bartering like videography, or I was bartering graphic design, or I was bartering something or other. Or I was like, I'll pay when I leave. And I stayed at a hotel for like a month, and I was like, I'll pay you when I leave. They're like, okay, cool. And then I was about to leave, and they're like, yeah, so where's the money? I'm like, I don't have it. They're like, well, we're going to call the police if you don't.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know the laws. I don't know how it works. I'm like, that's quite possible they'd arrest me.
Yeah.
So I go to the pawn shop, right? So the pawn shop's about to close. My phone's about to die. I have to like go online and unlock my T-Mobile phone. There's literally 1% of battery left. And I have to go online and unlock it. And there's no like coverage. So I barely unlock it before it shuts the fuck down. And then I go to pawn shop speaking Spanish. None of them are taking phones, but they're all pointing me to this one that's about to close. I'm like, oh, do you take phones? They're like, yes. It'll be 200,000 pesos, which is like $80.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
But in Colombia, $80 is like equivalent to like $250 of like spending power. And So I had a backup phone that was super shitty. So I'm like, yeah, here you go. And he turns it on. He's like checking if it's unlocked. And I'm like, please, please, I hope it went through. And the girl, like as he was in the back, she says in Spanish, you should ask him for 250. And she's like one person that works there. Like she knows what it's worth. And I'm like, normally I would, but like if I don't do this, I'm going to jail.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to the hostel and they're not going to have, so like.
Need some fucking money.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, I could probably do that, but I can't risk it. So like I fucking pawned my cell phone. That's how I was living for 2 years. Like how, but that's because like, that's the kind of person I am. I can't work for somebody else. I got my Big 5 score. You know what Big 5 is, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the personality test.
Yeah. So there's agreeableness. Agreeableness is split into compassion and politeness. And politeness, it's actually not like polite in conversation. You could probably tell I'm personable. I'm able to be polite with somebody. It's, do you respect the rules of society? Like how much are you a rule follower, right? You could probably tell I'm not much of a rule follower. My percentile on politeness was 0.
Damn.
The lowest you could possibly get. And what that means is I don't want to follow somebody else's rules. At this point in life, I follow other people's rules if I respect them or if I don't want drama, because I've realized that sometimes when you don't follow rules, you get drama. So I've respected that and begrudgingly learned to follow rules when I need to. But it was easier for me to be homeless for 2 years than to work for somebody else.
Wow.
So people ask me like, oh, how did you go through that? How did you have the resilience? It's like, well, I wish I could give you the secret, but for me, I honestly hated the idea of working for somebody so much that this was the easier route.
Yeah.
So like, I can't really give anybody any advice on how to go through something like that, because I just had so much hatred in myself that pushed me forward.
Yeah. You just felt so bad working for someone else. It's like, I'd rather sleep on a bench.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And like my friend was looking at me. I met him, and he's the guy that got me to do the Big 5. He was like, you confuse me because you're very industrious. You have a lot of what the Big 5 would call starts with a C. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah. Compassion?
No, compassion. I have a low amount of that. I'm learning how to be more compassionate, but my compassionate was like 23.
Yeah.
I'm very good at being
conscientiousness.
He's like, you're very conscientious, but you were homeless for 2 years. What's that about? And then when I gave him my Big 5 scores, he's like, yep, that makes sense. That makes sense, because people who are very low in politeness and agreeableness, they want to be at the top of a hierarchy. If they don't want to be in the middle, they'd rather be out of a hierarchy if they can't be at the top of it. So that's why I built my own business. I'm at the top of my own business. It's not a publicly traded business, so there's no board that can kick me out. I'm the judge, the jury, and the executioner. I'm at the top of my own pyramid, and I'm making my pyramid bigger. Like, I'd rather be at the top of a small pyramid than in the middle of a large one. And my business meant nothing until recently for other people. Like, I've become useful to a lot of people, and I've become helpful to a lot of people. I've changed people's lives now. I have one of my clients who's my first client who's going to get married to somebody because of me, right?
Wow.
So, and at one point there's going to be children that are going to be created because I helped people find love. That is going to happen. I mean, it's already kind of going that direction, right? So I have helped people, and I have people like, oh my God, thank you, right? But there was a time where I was the smallest of small. I was the top of the smallest of small pyramids. Like, I'd rather be the top of the smallest of small pyramid than in the middle of a larger one, and that's just my personality. It's not something I can teach, and it's not something I want to teach, because that's not who most people are.
Yeah. So what were you doing in Colombia to make money? Photography, videography, just trading that?
Yeah, I wasn't a photographer at the time, actually. I knew a little bit of photography, but only because I was a graphic designer. I was trying to do graphic design online. I'd get odd jobs on Fiverr.
Yeah.
I'd edit. I was also in high school, learned how to edit video, so I also did that. I had a good enough laptop. I had a Surface Book, the first one, which was the one that came out at the time. And I had Premiere Pro, and so I was like editing video for people and stuff like that.
Yeah. Nice.
But I didn't know enough about business, and I was also in such a scarcity mindset. and circumstances. It was very difficult for me to charge much.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, it's tough.
more
Yeah.
the mindset than the circumstances, because the resourcefulness is more important than the resources.
Yeah. Yeah, in some sense, you look at your circumstance and you're like, oh, I can't charge a lot because I'm not worth that. When in reality, maybe you are.
Yeah. I definitely thought a lot bigger than my circumstances at the time. But even then, I was scared because, and there are people who are broke but not poor. I was broke, not poor in some ways, but in a lot of ways I was, just because I was so scared to sacrifice a sale. Because there was a day, there were a few days, like actually there were several days where either a girl I was dating would give me money, or one time where I reduced myself to asking for money on the street and got money from somebody. One time I felt so bad about myself. And then the rest of the time I was able to barter, or one time I ate, I sat in a cafe, worked on my laptop and ate sugar packets.
Oh, damn. That's some.
Yeah. But normally I would, find a way to barter, or a girl that I was dating would help me out. So.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I made it work though. That's industrious right there. That's that
industrious.
bullet point. Yeah. Shit.
It was difficult, man. But I can safely say I did my time.
Yeah.
I went through the hazing.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, I did. You got to do
I've
it,
earned
man.
this.
Yeah.
And I don't think most people don't, but some people do.
Yeah.
I hope most people don't. But it also, the world, the universe tests you. Do you really want this? How bad do you want this?
Well, it's one of those things where it's like, you'd never wish this on anyone. However, it may be who I am today. And
dude,
goddamn.
If I were to go through it again, I'd do the same.
Really?
If I were to redo the life, dude,
Yeah.
It has given me so much fucking resilience.
Yeah.
Like, nothing really phases me. That's not true. Stuff phases me, but it's really easy to put things in perspective. Like, one of my clients, it was a hostel. I was like, hey, I just got kicked out of a hostel. That wasn't very calibrated. I wasn't good with women. So when I would hit on women, also because I was smelly and poor and broke, and then like they didn't want me, right? So,
Yeah.
well, that's not true. Actually, I got laid like crazy in Colombia, but I was also uncalibrated. So I would be in a hostel and I would like creep out some girls because I had no idea what I was doing, and then I'd be on the street. And so I was like, okay, I have to go from hostel to hostel and find somebody. And the first hostel I went to, I'm like, hey, I'm a graphic designer. Do you need some graphic design stuff? And they were like, yeah, actually. And I was like, cool. I'll do this, and then I stay here. Is that
Yeah.
cool? I'm like, yeah. The guy took advantage of that. Started manipulating me, and I was like, I could make a longer story out of it, but I'll make it short. He started manipulating me and took advantage of his power over me at that moment. I'm like, well, I'll just leave then. And then he attacked me, stole my computer, tried to get the flyers off of it that I made for him.
Oh, wow.
Because I'm like, well, you didn't hold up your end of the deal, so I'm not giving you the stuff I made for you. He attacked me. He was like, I pay the police in this barrio. I'm going to pay. You're going to find a place to sleep tonight. It's in Colombian jail. And I saw him talking to a bunch of police officers, like in general, like over the past few days.
Yeah.
So I knew that he could have been telling the truth.
Yeah.
Thankfully, he was bluffing because he didn't call them. I think it's quite likely he could have.
Yeah.
But I almost expected him to snap my laptop in half, but he didn't. Once he got the stuff he wanted, he gave it back to me. He's like, don't come back to this barrio.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Damn.
So from that experience, I've had my worst client ever. No matter what any client does to me, it's like, I've had clients be mad at me for whatever reason, really mad. Like, it's very rare. Of the 150 clients I've had, one, and he had issues. One client got mad.
What was he mad about? Results, something like that?
Yeah. It was like something, but it wasn't like, it was I don't remember exactly what it was, but he was really mad.
Yeah.
And it didn't bother me one bit, like zero, because I'm like, well, you're not attacking me, stealing my shit, and threatening to get me locked up in prison when I know full well you could do that.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
So it's like,
I've seen worse than this before, bud. Sorry.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, and even during that situation, inside I was freaking out, but outside I was cool, calm, and collected. I was like, so I'm gonna need my laptop back, and then I'll leave.
Yeah.
He was like, what's your password? I'm like, I'm not gonna give you my password. I'm gonna need my laptop back, and then I'll leave. And so like that's the way I was taught inside. Oh my God, freaking the fuck out. But I realized in the moments in Colombia, because there are a couple shifty, because I didn't have enough street smarts to know where I was in town, what to do. If I had more street, Colombia is safe if you're aware. If you're not aware, you can easily walk into a bad situation because it's not as safe as the U.S. It's like accidentally walking, like it's like maybe the worst city in America has some areas that are like Colombia, some parts of Colombia, because there's dangerous parts of Colombia. There's safe parts of Colombia, but I'm not used to the city. I don't know what part's what. I'll go from a nice part of town to a nice part of town through a bad part of town and not know it. And that was a lot of time in Colombia when I got in a situation to something like that, or I was very uncalibrated and somebody like with the culture or like whatever, right?
Yeah.
And so like it just nothing phases me. But what I found was that I have a superpower of in a dangerous situation, I get real calm.
Yeah.
And I had no idea because I'd never been in dangerous situations
So
like that.
you're the fight, not the flight kind of thing.
Not even that. Here's the thing, at the time I hadn't had any martial arts training since I was a kid, so I knew if I fought, I'd be instantly killed.
Yeah.
Or hurt badly, not killed necessarily. I'd be hurt badly. I had no idea what I was doing, but what I did was I just acted super calm regardless. This guy, I had my cell phone out before I pawned it, and it was the newest Galaxy at the time, Galaxy S8, and I was taking a photo of some graffiti that I liked, and this guy across the highway, which was empty by the way, he's like, "Dame tu celular, dame, give me your cell phone." Mm-hmm. He runs across the empty highway, nobody's around. My instinct kicked in to completely ignore him. The first thing that happened, my mind was like, okay, he's not there. I kept walking in the same direction. He's yelling at me he's like that far from me. Like he's walking behind me, almost stepping on my feet, yelling at me to give him my cell phone.
Yeah.
He could easily sock me in the back of the head and then take it. But he got really confused. He's like, this guy's not reacting. It's not it doesn't fit in with the script.
Yeah.
Like, and that wasn't it wasn't a conscious thing I did. It was just an instinct. And that instinct, I had to use that instinct a few times to just be really calm and not react. And the anger and the stuff being projected at me kind of just like washed past it, and I became calm, centered, and strong. And that wasn't planned or prepared. People react in different ways. Like I know a guy, actually the guy from the leadership seminar, he told me about a situation where he was on a subway and people came up to him and were like, "Give me your hat," and it was like his favorite hat. And his first instinct was to be scared, but like what he did was he was like, "I am honored to give you my hat." And oh, this fucking guy's crazy. Let's go. And it was like because it's not in their script.
Yeah.
Like their script is either you get scared and try to run or hide, or you try to fight me and I win because I'm better at fighting.
Yeah.
Right. But for him, his script was like, well, let me like be like, oh my God, I'm so happy. And then it's like, well, that doesn't fit into the script. They don't have no idea what to do. And for me, it was like complete ignore. And like, well, what do I do if he's ignoring me? Do I just hurt him anyway? Maybe. But it's not really about him wanting my cell phone. It's him winning.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And if I couldn't give him that because I completely ignored him,
He just turned away, or what happened?
After about a block, he just turned away. I seemed like he just got confused or like bored or whatever, or like, oh, I'm not getting what I want.
And didn't know what was going on. So
yeah. And also there's the thing. It's like, if you see somebody that's super confident, it's like, I probably shouldn't fuck with him.
Yeah.
But he could have easily hurt me, and I took in it because I didn't know what I was doing. But he didn't know that because he'd never met me before.
Yeah. Yeah, but you never know. He might have had a experience like this in the past where he saw someone who projected the same confidence, and then he's like, "Yeah, fuck that. I'm not messing with that again." You know,
Maybe.
So could be.
Yeah, I mean, that's usually what it means. If you're not fazed by threat of violence, it usually means you're capable. In my case, my mind just, the first thing it went to, whether it was smart or not, was ignore it. And it worked. So I don't know.
It fucking worked.
It worked. I don't know if it knew what it was doing, or if it was just like an instinct that was like, let's roll the dice. This is like it's better than freezing or trying to fight.
Yeah. Yeah, I got lucky.
Yeah,
that's good. I mean, really shit, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, shit, man, we're at fucking 2 hours.
Okay.
Damn. That was fucking good. There's
Cool.
a lot of fucking dimes in there. That was good.
I'm feeling real good about this.
Dude, that's good. Well, let's wrap this up with a few things.
Okay.
First of all, where can people find you? What do you offer? What are your plans? Give it to us.
Cool. So I am at datingunchained.com. And on Instagram, you can actually go to datingunchained.com. On the top, you'll see content. You'll have my Instagram and my YouTube there. I have 3 packages. It's probably best I'll go like over briefly what I offer, but it's probably best to go on my website and check those out. Go on my website, you'll be able to see exactly what I do, how I do it, and examples of my stuff, which is datingunchained.com. It's probably in the description as well. I help guys get girls by taking kick-ass dating profile photos. But even further than that, my goal is to help people build a life they love. I want to see the world living a life truly on desire at a very deep level. I think if everybody lived a life from desire rather than obligation, then we would have world peace and everybody would be fulfilled and the world would be a freaking awesome place to live. And I want to see that in the world. So me helping guys with their dating life is just step one. But yeah, that's an awesome step one. So there you go, datingunchained.com.
Hell yeah. Awesome, man. And just to put a bow on it, dating apps in 2024 for men, worth it?
Yeah. Oh, it's going to be worth it for a while. It's going to be worth it if you invest. At this point, the competitiveness on dating apps, if you don't invest in your dating profile, you might as well not go on. But if you do, it's a fun time. So
do it.
So yes, with the caveat.
Get it sorted out. Mm-hmm. Joe, thanks for having you, man. It's been fucking
Alex.
awesome.
Appreciate you.
It's been great, man.